This meeting is being recorded.
It's the Whiz Kids coming to you for the fourth and final project on the revenue cycle. I'm Michael Banks.
I'm Rachel Lee.
I'm Kevin Sosa.
I'm Erica Brown.
And we're going to go through the revenue cycle. We have two members missing. They couldn't make it with us tonight. But the revenue cycle, what is it? It's actually a set of business activities and events that are associated with processing orders and also collecting cash for those sales. The primary objective for the revenue cycle is to provide the right product in the right place at the right time for the right price. So basically, you got to get everything right to make sure you make your sale. Within the revenue cycle, there are actually 4 mini cycles. There's a sale order entry cycle, a shipping cycle, a billing cycle, and cash collections. The first of this is the sale order entry cycle. Basically what this entails is you as a company are going to take the customer's order. We're going to get our order in. The customers come to us, hey, we want X, Y, and Z. Sure, we'll have it to you, week, tomorrow, whenever. When doing this though, there's a couple things that you can look at. The first thing that a company is going to use is called a sale order. This is a piece of paper or a PDF or any kind of electrical, any kind of thing that's used on the computers, electronic. That's the word I was looking for. Not electrical. To fill out an order. Basically, it's a digital order form is basically what this is.
Mm-hmm.
It contains a name, addresses, payment information, descriptions of what the customer is ordering. If you work on commissions, you're going to have information from the salesperson, their name, ID number, whatever. Discounts. Some companies offer discounts depending on payment, whether it's cash, whether it's within a certain discount period. All that will be on this particular order form. One of the new things that's been coming out here recently is QR codes. I don't know if you've seen those little strange black boxes.
Oh, yeah.
So what that does is like a company can have that set up and you pull it up with your phone and take a picture of it and it'll take you to a link and it's straight to a company's website to show off, whatever product.
Mm-hmm.
Usually there's a digital order form associated with that somewhere. That's kind of one of the new things that's been popping up.
Yeah, especially now, I feel like, especially larger companies, especially like Walmart, Target, those, they want you to input all the information yourself. And it seems like to pretty much reduce the possibility of a human error. And because, if it was a smaller company, such as like a boutique, for example, there's a much higher chance of human error because there's more actual human touch with putting in data entry, because most big corporations have like those enterprise systems that handle all of the data entry, all the sales, everything themselves. So there's a lot less chance of human error, which could obviously affect inventory numbers and stuff, which could mess up.
They're also doing the QR scanning thing because a lot of people, they used to do the coupons, like they will give you out coupons. Well, now they do it like you have to like scan it just to get that coupon. So
Yeah,
there's
like on Target, the app.
Yeah, so the people won't be stealing all those coupons. They're just like, because they'll make a hurt on the company as well. Like if they like a bunch of people like grab a bunch of coupons and just go to the store, they wouldn't make a profit. So I feel like that's one of the reasons as well they using the QR codes as well.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing too, it doesn't really deal with revenue directly. It's kind of a secondary effect, but marketing definitely will benefit from a QR code.
Mhm.
I've seen some great marketing campaigns that use
Yeah.
that, and it's to get your attention. Like, they'll have, um, like a pop-up or a commercial, or last time I went to a Saints game, they had that, they put it on the big jumbotron, and it was a big QR code to one of their drawdowns that they were doing to get into it. And
Mhm.
they left it up there for, a couple of seconds so everybody could pull their phone out and get to it. But it's just interesting. I won't say gimmick, but it's a quick way for people
It's a
to
good tool.
tool.
Yeah. Strategic.
Yep, to access, a company's entry to buy something.
Yeah.
It's very, very convenient.
Yeah, it's also really, as I was going through all these mini cycles and stuff, I was noticing that I feel like a reason all these that they want less human touch is because, like, for example, if someone inputs the wrong address in the sales
Mhm.
order entry, it kind of has a domino effect throughout the way.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, that is true, but at the same time, like, if you leave it to the customer and the customer does it, then you're putting
Yeah.
you're putting a
That's
lot of ability back on them, but at the same time, like, that defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do.
right.
Mhm.
Because you could give a customer a hard time about, well, we didn't put the information in, you did, and it kind of diminishes the customer service. So
Yeah.
I think you got to have some kind of control in there to make sure that you don't have things like that. There's got to be some kind of oversight and some kind of review to make sure that addresses are the same. And that's throughout the whole entire process, not just, when the sale order is put in. Because that needs to go through, not only when you get the order, but when you actually get ready to pick it and put it together, when you ship it out, and customer receipt of the item.
Well,
Mhm.
I know that a lot of companies now, they have like those completeness checks. So throughout the process, if you notice about how you have to put in the billing information, then you have to put in your shipping information. Then at the end, it makes you review everything so you can check that you authorize that you reviewed it and
Mhm.
before you physically place the order.
Yep.
I feel like that's one of the reasons why they do those now.
And I've noticed too that you know, especially when they do inventory checks, you'll see the RFID tags and barcode. Especially like if you're, I'm trying to think of a good example. I would say probably like Amazon. Like, if you're going to make an order and like
Yeah.
your order has like an associated barcode with it, and you go to like scan something and it's not on there, like it's the wrong barcode associated with you, it'll say, hey, this is the wrong product, don't grab that.
Right.
Mhm.
you know um
I also wanted to mention, like, how we have to, like, as customers, we will have to input the information in ourselves. But I
right.
also read that, like, there are actual like master files for like people who have already, kind of ordered from the place. It'll like save your information and it'll just pull it up and you can
Yeah.
review it there. So I say that also helps with, the correctness of the order. And then, Kevin, I also wanted to touch back on what you said about the coupons and how it can hurt, the revenue. Because
Uh-huh.
at my job, when they come in with paper coupons, they can use it as many times as they want. If
Yep.
they get that limit, they can just keep on scanning it. But when they scan the QR code or they go to a website, it's for one-time use only.
Yeah. There's a limit.
Yeah, there's a limit, so the
Mhm.
company won't be affected by it as much, and they'll still get their coupon. They just have a limit on it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there's no extreme couponing with QR codes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was a thing though. I think they even made a
Oh.
movie about it.
There's
Like
there's
these
there's
two
a whole
ladies.
there's a whole series about it on TV.
Really?
Yeah,
I
it's,
don't even know. I saw the
it's
movie and like these ladies like bought a bunch of coupons on paper and they were like selling it out to people. They made like a bank on it.
like there's an actual TV show called Extreme Couponing. Like, seriously, people.
It's a serious thing.
Yeah,
With
seriously.
Target, it was a serious thing. Trust me, it was very serious. It was not a joke.
Yeah.
If they didn't get their coupon, it was serious. Like, it was bad. And then in the shipping, if we wanted to move on to shipping,
Well, hang on before we go to shipping. There's a few more points we can get on the sales. So once we've taken the customer's order, a lot of this is done on credit. Another thing that needs to look at is credit approvalness of each customer. I know I think every major retailer has its own company or company credit card that you can apply for and you get discounts for shopping. I know Amazon's got one, Apple's got one, Walmart's got one, Target's got one. Like I said,
Every big company has one, I feel like.
everyone's got one. Exactly.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a credit limit on that, and those limits are based off, past purchase histories, past
Yeah,
credit
credit score.
history. Yep, and credit score. If you want a good credit score, 700 or better, that's where you need to be.
Mhm.
But having good credit is a good thing. So, next would probably be the inventory that's available. Hitting back to our RFID tags and our barcodes. That's going to be able to let the company keep track of what they have on hand. This also will allow management to kind of forecast sales, how much their demand is, how much their product they're going to need for inventory. If they bought too much or they didn't buy enough, they can kind of gauge that. Obviously, you don't want to have back orders when people are ordering and you're waiting for a product. So, I mean,
right.
you want these kind of controls in place that, where you can run a report whenever you need to say, hey, I have this, and this in stock. So, and then one of the last points I want to make with the sale order entry is responding to customers inquiries. So a lot of this is done through CRM, which is customer relationship management. Basically what this is it's kind of like a database, and it contains all like what Erica was saying about the master files, master data about different customers. It's going to contain all that information. So addresses, payment information, phone numbers, that kind of thing. All that's in there. Previous history, or purchase history, any kind of dealings with them, all that will be in that particular stuff. Some threats with that would be, if you ever had like some kind of virus or attack on your software and you lost that personal information with a client, like that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You got to have some kind of like firewalls in place. You got to have some kind of security systems for your cyber network. I mean, it's you don't want that kind of information getting out. If it ever did leak out or it got wind to the public that your company, suffered that kind of a loss, they might be a little more reluctant to do business with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Sure.
Wells Fargo did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard so much about Wells Fargo recently, like
Yeah.
just so many things that have gone on.
So
There were like a couple banks that happened that
Yeah.
their information got leaked. I think another bank was American now one of American now I don't think it was American Express. It's one with America. I can't remember what it was, but their
America.
stuff got leaked.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a common thing. I mean, you just have to be careful, especially when it comes to stuff like that.
Yep.
And usually, if you're doing credit checks on people too, you're going to have a social security number too.
Well,
Right.
So I mean, that's kind of a big deal.
a lot of identity theft right there.
Exactly. So, and also too, you have to have internal controls too with not only keeping other people out, but your employees too. So you're going to want to limit your liability to this to certain people who have access to this information, so that your guy who's maybe doing shipping doesn't have access to, social security numbers and
Oh, yeah.
that kind of stuff. Just probably your salespeople who are actually taking orders is who you want to, have access to that and keep a record of that, when they transfer files and this and that, there's a record of them saying, hey, we've done, our sale, this is their file, it's here, their information stored and saved. So
Mhm.
kind of one of those lockout, tag out type things.
Right.
So now the next cycle, if you will be shipping. It is what it is. I mean, we've already taken the customer's order. We know what their credit limit's good. They got 700 or better. We're going to give them a line of credit, let them buy whatever. We also have the availability of inventory to send to them, and we've answered all their questions, and now it's time to ship it to them. One of the main things when shipping is actually picking and packing the order. Basically what this is you get the order form, you need product X, Y, and Z. You get a guy in the warehouse who gets his box, he goes and gets products X, Y, and Z, puts it together, make sure that everything's where it needs to be, as far as being in the box, and then you put your shipping label on it, send it on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
And
one of the threats that can come from this, and because like I worked at Target, I actually, when you put it in like a real life scenario, when I think back, I'm like, oh, like I actually saw this process happen, because Target has all shipping facilities in all their stores. So they would get the pick ticket that came from the sales order entry. So if someone placed an order, they would get the ticket that showed the items, and they would actually get RFID guns, and they go in the back of the store, and it's this big old warehouse,
Yep.
and they have to use the RFID gun, and it's the best thing ever, because it's so large in that building that there's a million things you would never be able to find it if you actually looked for it. And it literally just, you press it, it tells you exactly where it is. And so if you go over there, it's literally right there. And then after you do it, you go over there and you package it, and then you send it off, and they put it in the back of UPS or a FedEx truck.
Yeah.
See,
But the only thing about that though, is if there's been thefts in the store, or if things got broken randomly, because it's so large and so big that it's very possible that could happen, or if the inventory count is off, because a lot of things, and this isn't just at Target, this is at a lot of places, the barcodes are funky. Sometimes they ring up, sometimes they don't. And so sometimes whenever they don't ring up, you have to manually go in there and you just type in whatever the price is. So it doesn't actually take it out of their inventory. So it throws the inventory off, and it makes the count wrong. So they could go to the back looking for something, and it's not there.
right.
so like at my job, it's kind of similar to yours. But like us as employees, we're responsible for the packaging of items. So we'll also get a pick list, but we do everything through like, I guess it's a software or like a system. And we
Right.
don't use our RF guns. We have to actually use the barcode. So I know the frustration that you're talking about with the barcode, because you have to type the barcode in correctly, or like it's not going to take.
And
then-
sometimes it still won't take.
Yeah, it won't take, or you have to like take off a number, or the barcode needs to be longer. So that's why I say it's good that y'all get to use the RF guns, because
Okay.
my job we don't. And then also when you mentioned theft, that's how we also find most of our theft. So it would show up in our inventory that we have it because the customer has ordered it, and then we'll go out there and we don't have it, and we'll check the whole store. We'll go all the way to the back, and then we'll just find an empty box on a, somewhere stuffed away. And that's how we find most of our theft, through the orders, because like I said, it will show that it's available because it's not been scanned out of our inventory.
Right.
Well,
And then if you wanted to, I know we could relate back these RFID guns and our barcode technology, and we could relate all this back to the first module with data bridges. Because we were talking about how can we get real-time inventory numbers And it turns out that this is a main way that they do run their inventory and get the real numbers is through these revenue processes, through these mini cycles that they do. That's how they keep up with it. And they have all these controls to keep it as correct as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's also good for theft too, because if you
Yeah.
actually have, video cameras looking at this, you're gonna have proof of, hey, we've got you on camera taking this.
Right.
So it's a good deterrent too. The next thing, once we've picked it and packed it, we need to ship it. So when you ship it, you're gonna have a packing slip. Packing slip basically is, a description of what is being shipped. It's not to be confused with the bill of lading. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Bill of lading is basically like a contract for shipping. And what that is it basically gives you all the information of what the product is, where it's going, and the details of shipping. Is it FOB destination? Is it shipping point? Basically all the terms, that contractually hold a seller reliable or the purchaser. Again, biggest thing is theft. You got people that unfortunately want to steal and take from others, but again, if you've got controls in place to make sure this doesn't happen, then it's not so bad. Controls being video cameras to watch this. You got checks, you got inventory checks to make sure it is where it is. Confirmation checks of the shipping to if it, once it leaves the warehouse, it's on the truck, it goes to the customer. And anywhere in between, it's getting checked every time it hits that checkpoint. It's very similar to what UPS does or USPS or FedEx when it goes from their facility to a warehouse to the truck and then to your house. They give you step-by-step tracking information.
And these kind of systems, they have like a good customer service aspect, like a customer responsive aspect to it. And because it not only saves retailers time and money, but it also helps improve our turnovers, and it could increase our sales, because if we don't have anything like any loss of shipment or loss of assets or anything like that, then
Right.
it's not costing us as much money.
Yeah. So once we ship everything, our next mini cycle is actually billing. In the billing area, you're going to have invoices that need to go out, and you've also got to maintain accounts receivables.
Yeah.
Invoicing, I mean, it's very similar to the actual sales order. Once we've gotten the order in, we've fulfilled it, we've shipped it out. Now it's time to get paid. Our calls to the customer, we send it to them. We expect to get paid.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
noticed that our time is running out. We're like 6 minutes.
Yep.
6 minutes and 40 seconds. Just keep an eye on.
Yeah, I got it.
But-
But back to this. Some of the threats that go along with invoicing is one, not having the correct information,
Yeah.
and two, failing to actually bill it. Whether it's oversight on our part or going back to theft again, if this is something that somebody is trying to take, if you don't bill it and it's, quote unquote there, then it looks like it's still there and it's really not. Again,
It kind of goes back to that domino effect, where if you have the wrong billing information from the get-go.
Mhm. To kind of control this, you're going to want to have people. You're going to want to limit access to people who can actually, have access to this information, and that somebody is checking behind that person to make sure that the bills are getting sent out, the information is correct, and the company's going to get their invoices sent out and get hopefully get paid. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing with accounts receivables. You know, you got to maintain all your accounts. Make sure your customers are paying. If they're not paying, then they get turned over to collections after they've been given a notice. And same thing, you know, make sure that numbers aren't getting fudged or getting added to or taken away from, and the numbers are what they're supposed to be. And this easily accountable, you know, once you look at the books and make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely a double check. I was reading on the revenue cycle chapter, and I was saying that most companies like depend on the revenue on like the databases for the revenue cycles. That way, there's no like human error for like the inventory cut and the customer's name and all that. Like we've just been saying like earlier, and I feel like that's the best way and the best option to do it for big data.
It
for big
is. It really is that way. You know, you've got a lot of data, but again, you've got to store it and you've also got to protect it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like I said, that information goes through dang near all the cycles, you know, like all sub cycles that this thing has.
Yeah, I
And
think that's why it's probably a really good idea that that's a control for them to like have a restriction on master data, so there can't be human error to a certain extent.
well, you're gonna want some kind of interface to where, you know, your customer can put their information in and it's limited, it's internally limited to a handful of people that have access to it.
Right.
That way it's not, you know, easily changed or accessible for somebody to mess with it.
yeah.
And then once we've got everything billed, our last step is cash collection. You know, this is kind of what it is. You're gonna get paid from the client.
Yeah.
Hopefully anyway. If not, you're gonna have to knock on some doors and, you know, make fun.
Yeah.
Typically, you know, the main thing you're gonna have with this is if clients pay with cash, then you've got to worry about having to deal with, you know, cash or any kind of money.
Yeah.
Same thing with credit cards, you know, if you have an employee who's not trustworthy that can take credit card information that would have access
Give
to
them a
this,
credit card.
ID theft is big in this, and you gotta again limit who has access to
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
I notice now, even with like in the commercial electrical industry, like from what I've had my experience with, is like suppliers are very strict on this process. Like they are very strict on it. They are by the book every step of the way, even before you can even place a sales order. Like you go through this extensive credit check process before they'll even allow you to have an account there, just so they can control what's going on there.
it's a process, especially
Yeah.
as a company, and not even like an individual. Like it's easier for an individual to do this versus like a company to do this.
Oh yeah, and they will put you, after they do it, they'll put you on a specific limit, and they won't let you go 1 cent over that limit. They will not. And if you were like 1 day late, you'll get a phone call immediately.
Yeah,
Because they do theirs, because they do this, they do their control check process monthly. So at the end of the month, that's when the phone call would happen, was after they did that part of the process.
I've been on the phone for this before too, with my particular job now, where if you know after our 30 days we invoice you for security services and you haven't paid, then you're gonna get a phone call from me. Possibly, you know, after another week or two, I'm gonna come visit you in person. So I mean, it's just kind of how it is.
Money.
Then you have to know a guy to get you money. So,
That's how it is.
exactly. So, all right. Well, that's going to conclude this. We'll wrap it up here, and you know, that's the revenue cycle.
Yep.
All right.
All right. That was fun.
Fun.